In today's episode of Willful, filmed at the Merchant Tavern, we spoke with Nick Babatsikos, an actor, singer, comedian, and all-around force of nature. Hi, Nick.
Hi.
Welcome to the Merchant Tavern.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. You're not the only performer in your family.
No.
Tell us a bit about your background.
My entire family in Greece is involved in the arts. My mother was a recording artist in Greece when she was very young. She started when she was 18, and she became quite successful. Like, there's actually, we found this, ironically enough, we found clips of her recordings on YouTube that somebody else had uploaded. I can't find them now because they're all in Greek, and I don't actually have the Greek type on my computer, so I can't even type in the search words. I'd have to get my sister to find it, but I think 3 or 4 of her recordings, either by the record company or by some fan in Athens, were uploaded onto YouTube that we kind of stumbled upon by mistake. So she was actually a very successful recording artist. Her older brother was a big comedian in Greece before he passed on. He did a lot of film, a lot of theater. He was very respected and adored. Her older sister was an actress as well, who worked in theater and did a lot of kind of daily soaps and television shows. And now that woman, her son, my mom's nephew, is a recording artist in Greece as well. And he does very, I don't want to say left wing, but very, kind of liberal songs. His lyrics are very politically driven, and he's actually encountered, he told me anyways, that he's actually encountered issues with the police in Greece before, who have stopped him and unnecessarily interrogated him or roughed him up because his lyrics are very well known in Greece and during times.
Is he speaking for the people?
He does. He sings a lot. Like, he's very. I'd gone to a couple of his concerts. The first one I went to, which was kind of cool, was at the Acropolis, and he was part of a huge Greek festival, and it was the closing night. And he and another recording artist in Greece who's very successful. He's kind of like the Elton John of Greece. They did a closing night performance together, and they did duets, and they performed their own music, and it was packed, and it was just kind of insane to see a family member on the stage of the Acropolis performing. So that was very cool. And then he did another private concert about 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later. This is going back about 5 or 6 years, and there were a lot of young university students in the audience who were very kind of. They were very moved by his music. You could just tell, like, they were very into it. They followed him. They were fans. Like, they were just really kind of young fans who were very driven by his political message.
Yep. What kind of roadblocks or challenges did you face on your journey after you moved to Toronto?
Well, this is actually, I'm bigger now, which is kind of where I am now, and I was much, much bigger in my teens. I had actually, weight-wise, I had hit a very big weight limit when I think I was about 19 or 20, and at that point I decided I wanted to lose weight. So over the next 2 years, 2.5 years, I had ended up losing 165 pounds and dropped down to 170, I think, which is right around the time where I met you. And that was a big roadblock for me. When I had lost all that weight, I was very, very young when I did it, and I wasn't able to reconcile with it. I wasn't able to kind of catch up to it. Like, it wasn't like it happened overnight. Like I said, it was 2.5 years before I went from 340 to 170. But it was mentally, it took years and years and years to catch up to that, and I wasn't. And I was essentially coming to the city a brand new person, and people treated me differently, and people reacted to me differently. And all of a sudden, I was auditioning for much different roles, which was amazing. There were these. I look back and I get very upset because I think I personally blew big opportunities because I was so young and I wasn't ready to receive them because I wasn't comfortable with myself. I didn't know who I was. And I remember going in to audition for these big roles and these big opportunities and being more concerned with sucking in my stomach and making sure that I didn't have a gut, even though I was at that point technically underweight. I had actually lost so much weight that I was starting to go a little bit further south. And I remember I can't remember what the name of the project was, but it was a TV pilot that was going to be shot in Toronto, and it was a big deal. And I was going in for one of the principal roles. It was a big deal. It was going to be a multi-day shoot. It was going to be a big opportunity had it been picked up. And I was in the waiting office, sucking in my stomach and pulling out my shoulders. And do they remember me from when I was big? And I hope they're not thinking of me like that. And my God, I have to suck in my stomach even harder. I can't let it show. And if that's what you're thinking of in the waiting room before you go in, you've already lost the part. So that started to happen to me a lot, and it ended up kind of playing with my head, and I just wasn't doing well auditioning and performing, and I lost, and I was so caught up and I was so fixated on this idea that I had to be super skinny and super thin, and once was never enough, to the point where our mutual friend, once again, I was living with him at the time, thought I had body dysmorphia and wanted me to see a specialist because I was very I wasn't well. I was young, and I wasn't handling it properly.
Did you have a role that came along that really you could sink your teeth into, and you weren't just an extra, but it was the first time someone said, you're the perfect person for this role, inhabit it?